Hi there, welcome to Lamlam's audiobook novel channel. Today's story is titled, The CEO's Maid. Chapter 5, Uninvited. Emily adjusted the hem of her plain black dress for what felt like the 100th time, her fingers trembling slightly as she glanced around the glittering ballroom. The space was unlike anything she had ever seen before, a grand palace of elegance and power. Crystal chandeliers dripped like frozen waterfalls from the high ceilings, casting prismatic light over the crowd. Luxurious gold-accented curtains framed towering windows that overlooked the city, their heavy folds swaying gently as if to a rhythm only they could hear. In the background, a live string quartet played a soft symphony, their music weaving a delicate spell of refinement. The annual charity gala hosted by Damien was the social event of the year. Every detail was immaculate, from the polished marble floors to the exquisitely arranged floral centerpieces on every table. Tonight, celebrities, influential CEOs, and dignitaries floated through the room like ethereal figures from a different world. Worlds Emily had only glimpsed from afar. By contrast, she felt like a misplaced shadow, just a speck of dust in a hall of diamonds. She had only come because Damien had insisted. This was the first time he had ever asked anything of her. Not commanded, not ordered, but asked. "There's an open slot for kitchen assistants at the gala," he'd said days ago, avoiding her gaze. "If you're interested." Of course she was interested. She needed the money desperately. Her father's medication had increased in cost again, and every dollar counted. So here she was, blending into the background as a silent part of the hotel staff, serving delicate hors d'oeuvres to people who didn't even bother to meet her eyes. Yet, her gaze was searching. Constantly searching. She hadn't seen Damien since she'd arrived. He had vanished into the throng of board members and socialites, swallowed by the flashing cameras and admiring whispers. As usual, he was untouchable. Beautiful. Cold. Emily quietly slipped away to the staff corner, a small refuge hidden behind heavy drapes and polished counters. She leaned against the cool wall, trying to catch her breath and steady her racing heart away from the flashing lights and laughter that seemed so far removed from her reality. Strange how even the finest diamonds can get lost in this kind of glare, don't you think? The voice came from beside her, smooth, feminine, and laced with an amusement that sent a shiver down her spine. Emily spun around, startled. A stunning woman stood there, holding a delicate flute of champagne. She was dressed in a flowing scarlet gown that shimmered under the chandelier light. Her black hair was styled immaculately, cascading over one shoulder in soft waves. Around her neck glittered a ruby necklace that caught the light like a flame. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, swept over Emily's simple attire with a mocking smile. "I'm just helping out in catering," Emily replied politely, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman took a slow, deliberate sip of her champagne, her eyes never leaving Emily's face. "Of course you are." There was something deeply unsettling about her presence. Too confident, too familiar, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Emily instinctively took a small step back, feeling the woman's gaze sweep over her like a warning. "You must be new," the woman murmured, circling Emily slowly, her voice dripping with condescension. "Damien always hires the plain ones when he's trying to forget someone." Emily stiffened, confusion twisting in her chest. "I don't understand what you mean." The woman smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "No, I don't suppose you do." Without another word, she turned sharply and vanished into the crowd, leaving Emily frozen in place. Just then, the polite murmurs and soft clinking of glasses were broken by a ripple of applause. Damien had taken the stage. He looked every inch the powerful man he was, dressed in a midnight black tuxedo with a crisp bow tie, his posture regal and commanding. But there was something different about him tonight. Something taut and guarded beneath the surface. He began his welcome speech with smooth confidence, thanking donors, praising the charity's efforts, and announcing a matching grant from his own personal funds. His voice was steady and measured, but Emily noticed the way his eyes darted repeatedly across the crowd, scanning and searching. It wasn't long before the delicate balance shattered. A sharp gasp broke through the polite chatter. Cameras swiveled. Whispers rose like a sudden storm. "She's here." "It can't be." Emily turned toward the entrance, following the trail of murmurs and wide-eyed stares. There, framed by the gleaming doorway and a circle of stunned onlookers, stood the woman in the scarlet gown. Someone near Emily whispered the name, just loud enough for her to catch. Vanessa Blake. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Vanessa. The woman who had betrayed Damien. The woman rumored to have left him for dead. The woman whose shadow still haunted Damien's life. And she had just walked into his gala as if she owned the place. Damien froze mid-sentence on the stage. His eyes locked onto Vanessa's, and for the first time Emily had ever seen, the carefully constructed mask of composure cracked. Vanessa smiled at him across the room. Cold, triumphant, like a queen reclaiming her throne. The room held its breath. Emily felt a chill creep down her spine, the calm before a coming storm. Vanessa reached into her clutch and pulled out a small, sealed envelope. She handed it to a nearby security guard with a cool smile. "Make sure Mr. Carter gets this," she said, her voice deceptively sweet. The guard nodded and moved toward the stage. Emily's eyes locked on the envelope as it passed from hand to hand. Emily Walker. Written in perfect, deliberate calligraphy. She wasn't supposed to be part of this story. But now, somehow, she was. Thanks for listening to Lamlam Audiobooks. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more episodes. New chapters drop every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. Stay tuned, because in this story, nothing is ever what it seems. Until next time, keep listening.